It's time for the first federal program on WROI Cheyenne FM.
Sound official.
Streaming live on the First Federal Facebook page.
It is Friday morning. It is time for the first federal program. Not sure it's a beautiful morning though. Sorry.
Depends on your perspective. Some people like the falling flakes. This might be their last chance for the year.
Yeah.
Snow, snow, snow.
It should have been a couple months ago. Last snowfall.
This is one day only. It's like a special event.
Oh, okay.
It's here now, gone tomorrow.
And then spring's going to come out of quarantine and we're going to enjoy spring.
That may happen. We'll see. If that's your prediction, I'll go with it.
I hope.
Okay, Paul? Hey, we got a great show this morning. It's awful nice to do something like this on a Friday morning. You know, you get to the end of the week and you can kind of play on the radio a little bit. I see why you love your job, Paul. It makes a lot of sense to me right now. Hey, U.S. stimulus checks have started coming into the bank.
Yeah?
Yeah, this week we got our first batch of stimulus checks for local citizens. I think there's a few more rounds coming, so there's actually an IRS website you can check to see if you should have received yours in this batch or not.
If it's working.
Might be some high demand.
Yeah, there is. I didn't get mine, and the website never tells me anything.
Okay, try again today. Just refresh.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully those checks. Well, they're not really checks as much anymore, are they? The electronic payments hit all of your accounts soon, and you can start making good decisions with that money. Help keep things going. That's always nice when those things come around. Now, thinking of the same topic, the economy. President Trump unveiled the Open Up America Again plan last night. I think he's chomping at the bit to get the country going again so the GDP doesn't drop to -20. It was 18 pages long. I haven't read it yet.
Neither have I.
Okay. Basically, it's allowing a 3-phase plan. If you're in an area that's your state maybe isn't in a rising infection rate, maybe it's declining infection rate, then there's some protocols that they're proposing that may help the governors get a plan in place to get some business going again that's not just essential businesses. So hopefully that is the case and infections decline and we can start moving forward again with all of our businesses and consumer opportunities. It's a great country. We need to get it going again.
Absolutely.
Okay, also yesterday Governor Holcomb said that he's looking to reopen Indiana's economy in May, and hopefully early May, but he didn't want to give us a date. And he's doing what some other governors are doing around the country. They're kind of coordinating with governors and states around them to try to kind of ascertain a safe time to get everything going in those regions. So we're kind of in that Midwestern block. So hopefully that comes to fruition. We're over halfway through April. I don't know if you noticed that.
I noticed.
Okay.
Which is why this is even worse.
Sometimes it snows on Easter. I don't know.
Yeah, that I'm used to.
Probably in March.
Rain or snow on Easter, but not in the middle of April.
Okay. We got a streak to check right now.
Yeah.
Heat check for Paul. The trivia this morning. Earth Day's coming up next Wednesday.
Okay.
We're big on that, so this shouldn't be a problem. What year was Earth Day founded in the United States? A, 1960. That's promising. B, 1970. Or C, 1990.
Okay.
I remember it being around in 1990. I was 10 at that time in elementary school. I think we celebrated Earth Day. Maybe planted a tree.
I was 3, but...
Okay. All right, think about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Okay, we have dug deep in the wide world of sports. Tanner Lee.
That's a good way to put it.
You found something.
Or another way to put it is scraping the bottom of the barrel.
That too. Do a few bits of news here. I'll start out with some positive sports news. The PGA Tour announced that it, as of right now at least, is planning to resume its season without spectators on June 11th. So they got dates. They put out dates for the tournaments from June 11th through December.
You think some guys will play better with no spectators?
Probably.
You think some guys will play worse?
Probably. I think some people feed off the crowd and others probably really don't. So The first 4 tournaments, it looks like at least, are going to be without spectators. I think they could do some cool things, though. Even if they have the tournaments without spectators, maybe they can mic up some players and caddies, different things that they can't normally do when crowds are there.
It is a good time to experiment. You could get away with quite a bit right now.
Yeah, it might be a fun time to see. And if they do go through with that, golf could boom rating-wise, I would think.
I agree. Fans aren't quite as persnickety when they've been in withdrawal.
Yeah.
They'll accept almost anything right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what were you watching last night?
The horse competition the NBA is trying to do, maybe it's a good idea, but the execution with, them trying to use Zoom and everything across the country, there were some glitches and pixelation, and it just wasn't the best, but...
Be a tough time in live television
I
broadcasting.
applaud the effort, I guess, and then the creativity, so... But yeah, PGA Tours, like I said, kind of laid out their plans, so we'll see. Hopefully that goes through.
So your summer's looking up a little bit. That's good.
Yeah. Drew Brees has signed a contract with NBC Sports to broadcast after his football career is over.
So is that after this next season? Is that why?
Well, he signed a 2-year contract,
Okay.
but I honestly think this will be his last year. I think he signed that 2-year contract more to help the team out kind of money-wise, even though it's a 2-year contract.
It's really a 1-year agreement.
Yeah,
probably.
I think so. But he chose NBC Sports over ESPN, so ESPN swings and misses again, trying to get a big-time former football player, or I guess in this case current football player, to come in and work for them. He will start off as an in-game analyst for Notre Dame games.
Oh, that'd be good.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then I think the plan is to eventually have him replace Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football. And they said Mike Tirico will eventually replace Al Michaels. So eventually we'll get Mike Tirico and Drew Brees as the Sunday Night Football crew, which would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, they're pretty sure of this thing.
Purdue guy.
Yeah. Notre Dame guys, yeah.
Sacrilege.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that is, say he does just play this year and then hops on. In 2021, Purdue jumps back on Notre Dame's schedule, and it's at Notre Dame.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that could be interesting. Yeah, to see him on there. So I don't know, as an in-game analyst, if that means he's more of a sideline guy, like Chris Sims has been, or if he's more halftime in studio. So I would think if he's up in the booth, it would be color or play-by-play, but
That's true.
I'm not sure. So
It's odd to secure a personality like him that early.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but good for him, and
Yes.
I'm sure it pays pretty well, I'm guessing. So. And another bit of sports news, the XFL has ceased operations and will not return in 2021. They actually filed bankruptcy earlier this week, so that league is done.
In a bit of trouble over there.
Yeah, the COVID-19 really killed the league.
That's really unfortunate.
Because, it wasn't doing unbelievably well, but it was doing well enough. It was probably going to be around at least another season.
Yeah.
And a lot of money was thrown into it, and a lot of people are paying for it.
Secondary football league standards, they were doing okay, weren't they?
They were. I don't think we'll see another football league maybe attempt to start ever again. If so, it's going to be a long time. Because this was Vince McMahon's second time trying this in 20 years.
Yeah, this is the second go
And he was actually going about it well
Much
this time,
better,
taking
yeah.
his time. And
Learned a lot.
But yeah, a lot of money lost in this deal. So even for a billionaire, maybe it's not the right one.
Highly speculative.
Yeah, you need to stick with professional wrestling, I think. So, got some tidbits here this morning. On this day in 1492, just a couple years
Columbus
ago.
sailed the ocean blue, I remember.
There you go. Christopher Columbus signs a contract with the Spanish monarchs to find the Indies, with the stated goal of converting people to Catholicism. This promises him 10% of all the riches found, and the governorship of all lands countered.
Wow. Do you think that held true with the
I
governorship?
don't know. I had never heard that, but
No, I didn't
Never taught
either.
us that
yeah,
history
yeah,
class.
a little different twist.
They can see if they're able to keep some of those riches, why maybe
Yeah.
some of those guys got on board with sailing into
Sure.
the unknown.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I didn't realize the goal was converting people to Catholicism either.
I didn't either. At least according to this website. So, the internet never lies. So.
I'm sure I was taught that a long time ago. I probably just forgot.
I struggle to remember the ships sometimes, so.
let's have a go at it.
No, let's not. We'll just say we did.
That could be a trivia question.
Yeah,
Watch
there you go.
yourself.
Oh,
Say
Taylor knows.
I won't say what they are then, because we'll get them next week.
Yep. On this day in 1869, the first professional baseball game was played as the Cincinnati Reds beat the Cincinnati Amateurs 24-15. I was surprised it was such a high-scoring game.
Wow, good pitching, huh? I could see pitching taking the longest to develop.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
in the
some
professional
strategy and
baseball
everything,
world.
yeah.
But wow, that's really a football score.
On this day in 1964, the Ford Mustang was formally introduced. Its base price was $2,368. The price for a base model now in 2020 is $26,670.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was interesting to see how much that's.
Price went up a little bit.
Did any of you guys watch that Ford versus Ferrari movie that came out over the winter?
Mhm.
Not seen it.
Okay, I think that's
Have you
around
seen it?
that time frame. No,
Okay.
I haven't.
Yeah, I
So
knew that
I heard
came
it was
out,
good. Someone told me it was really
Yeah, I've heard
interesting.
that too.
I'm not a real gearhead myself, but that would have been probably
Yeah.
good.
Well, we got time to check out movies now that we have before, so
Yeah, that's
maybe
a
that'll
new
be-
section
maybe
in
that'll
our
be on
show.
my list this
Yeah, I
weekend.
think we need to have a section in our show
Yeah.
for next
Movies
week.
Taylor watched.
Yeah.
Go back through the Oscars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh gosh,
it's
that'd be interesting. Streaming update from Tanner.
Oh, we could get into some scary conversations. So.
Yeah.
Careful.
And today is National Haiku Poetry Day.
Oh, right up Paul's alley.
It's also Blah 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 Day.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's Cheeseball Day, Kickball Day, and Day of Silence. So once again, I don't know how a lot of those relate to the other, but
No, I wonder what
so
the
if,
motivation. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
If there's ever any dead air today on WROI,
It's
we're
intentional.
participating in
Yes.
Silence
yep,
Day.
there you
I'm
go.
just thinking, what was the motivation for someone to name a day of silence? And then, they're trying to get their neighbors on board,
Yeah.
their coworkers. We participate.
Maybe they have a neighbor that's real loud and annoying or something.
Yeah.
Hey, today's Day of Silence. Let's
Yeah.
I'll call the
Fun
sheriff
job.
if you're not
Yeah.
complying.
Yeah.
There's a little tease for us.
Mhm.
Anything else, Tanner?
I think that's all I got for this week.
Good work this
So
week.
thank you.
You really worked hard on that. I appreciate it. Okay, well, similarly, we don't really have any upcoming events, but we hope that's changing soon, Paul.
I hope so.
We did want to give some flowers this morning. One of our recent graduates, Ross Pearson, he's a junior at Purdue University. He's serving as student advisor for the Agriculture Future of America, which is kind of a neat opportunity for him. So we're really proud of him, and neat to see one of our students, former students, kids that grew up in the area, recognized and involved with something national. That's really neat. Okay, money news. Been kind of whipsawing around for the last few weeks. The Dow Industrial Average was actually kind of even so far this week,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that nothing happened.
Right.
It went up and down again, and kind of the seesaw we've seen. But the futures are up over 3% this morning.
That's good.
Take a guess why?
Because of Trump's idea to reopen America.
No, that didn't get a whole lot of
Oh.
interest so far. But there was some news that a drug that a company is working on was showing some effectiveness treating the coronavirus.
Hey, even better.
So we're all interested in that. You can see emotionally we're ready for some news like that. So
Yeah.
hopefully that continues, and I think it will. We've got some really smart people who are great at innovation in our country. I think the outlook or the reality may not be as bad as the outlook at the end of the day. China, they announced their economy shrank by almost 7% in the first quarter, which, of course, they entered the coronavirus. They kind of started there, I guess, didn't it? So they've had a bad first quarter for their economy. Usually they grow by about 6 or 7% a year, so maybe almost 2% a quarter. So that's pretty tough for them. So we'll see what the U.S. figures are. Usually that comes out a little bit later, looking backwards. But there are some stocks and companies that are doing quite well right now. A lot of the online tech companies, Amazon and Netflix, are at their all-time highs after yesterday, which is pretty notable. It wasn't too long ago, those companies weren't really making any money. and were kind of speculative stocks, but they've hung in there and are doing well right now.
Never give up.
The stocks that aren't doing so well right now, well, oil stocks. We talked about that last week. That's still not figured out. A lot of oil out there, low demand, and then also financial stocks. A lot of the bank stocks are taking a hit right now.
Really?
Just with the uncertainty on how much, if there's going to be some losses due to long-term unemployment that can really affect lending and payments. So everybody's kind of waiting to see on that. And then the big news for consumers, online purchases for Apple's new iPhone begin today. It's the second version of the iPhone SE, which is kind of an economical model, I guess you'd say. Base price is about $400.
I was gonna say, isn't that like the $400 phone that they just came out with?
You're right on the money. Scratch that for trivia.
Yeah.
We don't want to give any layups for the future. Yeah, some of the models cost $900, $1,000, but this one's $400, and probably you'll see a lot of action. And I expect Apple's stock to do pretty well. Okay, let's think about First Federal for a second. You been through the drive-through lately?
It's been about a week.
Okay. We'd like to see you come through again, Paul. Maybe check your balances for you since you can't get into the IRS site. See if that stimulus check comes in. We're doing all our business through the drive-up lanes. We've got 3 of them here in Rochester and open during normal business hours. If you've got some banking to do other times, you can use the ATM. It's always open. You can check balances, transfer money from the ATM, get cash, make deposits, quite a few things. Or you can go to www.firstfederalbanking.com and you can get instant access to online banking if you're a customer of ours and sign up for that there. And then you can log in any time of the night that you want to check on where you're at, make transfers. You can also use our free online bill pay there if you want to schedule some bills to be paid. What the company does is it'll look and see if it can make an electronic payment for you or if it's going to send a check. But either way, it'll get there by the date that you pick to go. It's really sweet. You should check that out and report on that next week
I'll have to.
in Paul's section. Tanner,
All right.
some changes as we go on the fly here. Someone made an analogy the other day, building the airplane as it's taking off. That's what we're doing on this show right now.
Yeah.
Mortgage rate's really low. If you've got a home loan rate above 4%, you might consider calling and seeing if there's a way to get a lower rate and save yourself some monthly payment. 223-2128. You can talk to Ben Dalton, John Schaefer, or Stacy Wilson here in Rochester, and they can help you out taking a look at that and seeing if that'd be a good decision for you or not. But it most likely will if you've got a rate higher than 4%. We're offering simply free checking accounts for consumers and for businesses. No fees, Paul.
Yeah.
Unless you overdraft.
Yes.
Then that's on you.
Yeah.
Okay. No maintenance fees, no monthly fees. Got a free gift. It's the Ironworks 142-piece tool set.
I should have waited a couple weeks and gotten that.
You know how you can get it today?
Refer a friend.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. So think hard. Maybe that Adams character might be
Yeah.
get something out of that relationship. Business owners can contact Lindy Breeden for commercial lending information, and we have investment and retirement services. Mark Bluebaugh has been on the show a lot of times, and Brian Bell has been on our show also, can help you with those services. Like us on our social media channels. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're everywhere. All over the place. And we're the only locally owned bank in Fulton County. We don't want to be the biggest, just the best, Paul. Borrowers do need to meet underwriting guidelines. We're a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Our NMLS number is 399927. And we're really getting to the heart of our show now. We are lucky. Well, I'm a little nervous, but not really. Lucky to be joined by Fulton County Sheriff Chris Sailors this morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Thanks for making the stroll down the sidewalk to see us this morning and fill us in on some things. It's great having you.
Yeah, it's a lovely day. You guys alluded to earlier, I could have done without the snow.
Did you wear your big duster today to get
No.
Hey, I had a question for you.
Okay.
I was telling my kids I was going to be interviewing the sheriff this morning, so it was a real highlight for me. and they wanted me to ask you if you watched the Andy Griffith Show.
Absolutely.
Big
Absolutely.
Andy Taylor fan?
Yeah, Andy Taylor. Yeah.
We're starting to watch that in our quarantines streaming malaise. We found that, hey, that's a show I saw when I was a kid. It's really good right now again.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of inspiration for cops.
That's right. Okay, well, tell us give us a sentence or two. What's it like being Fulton County Sheriff? I've always wondered that.
Oh well, it's amazing. It's an amazing job. I wake up every morning glad to come to work. I enjoy it. I enjoy dealing with folks and being in this role. I love Fulton County. Obviously, when I went to college, I could have went anywhere, came back, was a banker for a while, for
I've always looked
years.
up to you.
Yeah, thanks. And, the public service end of it, still am volunteer fireman as well.
That's great.
Down at the Grass Creek area, and was here at Rochester for a period of time too, and got involved it's an experience everyone should do at some point in time in their life. It's a real eye opener because sometimes you think, well, I can make a difference, and sometimes you can, and then there's other times it's just, there's things you just can't do, But I enjoy it and love my job. So
Thanks so much for doing it. You're doing a great job, and we feel very safe knowing you got our back.
well, thanks.
So what's going on these days? There's a few things that are different, maybe.
Oh yeah, of course, the main topic I'm sure on everybody's mind was the COVID-19, and I guess first off, Evan, I want to send a thank you out to everybody, and especially to our medical folks at the hospital and EMS, health department, our dispatchers, our firemen, law enforcement, jail officers, elected officials. We've been faced with a lot of curveballs, I guess, is the best way to explain it. And this whole thing is just a big unknown. And of course, you listen to what the president says, the vice president, the governor, and you we're trying to make decisions for the public safety, if you will,
Locally.
and health locally. And sometimes we've got to tweak those decisions, and it's just we're trying to take a common sense approach, and we're really walking a fine line on some of this, and some of the guidance we're getting, and trying to keep people safe. And I guess I just want to make a plea and ask everyone to please do your due diligence, adhere to all the hygiene precautions that have been put out there. And I realize those have changed since this started.
Yes.
The CDC was issuing this, the health department, the state health department, and they've kind of backed off on some stuff, and then they've come back to first full circle again. But if you are ill, please adhere to the self-quarantine measures, do the social distancing, and remember we have a responsibility to ourselves, and we're in charge of our lives. Just use common sense. Let us all be respectful to one another and ourselves. I guess that's my biggest message today.
Well, I can certainly understand that. We have to all do our part, and that's the definition of community, I think.
Yeah, it is. And and the other thing, right now with the shutdown, if you will, our businesses are struggling, and they can use our help. And if we can help them, let's do it. Let's also help those who are in need of help during this time too, whether they're unable to work or they're unemployed due to the pandemic. And there are several that are affected, but the majority of this is created by the pandemic. So let's not forget that we're in this together, and it's not charity; it's just being human and caring for one another.
That's a great message.
So, other than that, we've had to make some changes internally as my department, my office. We started out, a month or so ago when some of this started coming to light here in Indiana, and so far, luckily in the jail, we've not had any
That's
outbreak.
great.
There's been some other jails across the state. The prison yesterday announced they had several in like a 24-hour period. So, you know, it is, and you know, we've tried to work with the courts. About 2-3 weeks ago, when all this started, the Civil Liberties Union filed a petition with the Supreme Court in Indiana, asking that we release several inmates across the state and out of the prisons. And a lot of the counties, sheriffs, especially because we're in charge of the jails, we'd already started sitting down talking with our judges and so forth, and I know there's been a lot of criticism both sides of the aisle or downstate or what have you, but you know, we've looked at what we're doing here locally, and we have those conversations periodically with the courts and the probation prosecutor. You know, we always have medical issues in the jail, and you know, we try to get those folks out of there if they're nonviolent, you know, low-level offenses and that, because we can't provide the care that they need locally in that jail. We
That's
just don't
compassionate.
have capabilities. So we look at those, and the courts have been working well with us. The other thing, we've reached out to the law enforcement agencies, the city, you know, the town marshals and PDs and Fulton County, and you know, if it's a low-level offense and we have some discretion, if it's a misdemeanor offense, we can cite them and into court rather than make a physical arrest. And so we've tried to lower the folks coming into jail that way, so we're not bringing things in unintentionally.
It's kind of nice you can scale that a little bit for current environment.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things we did do is we suspended some programs just out of abundance of caution to kind of keep it out too. So and then you know, the guys are still out. My officers, my deputies are still out patrolling and doing what they need to do and being seen, and we're still taking calls. So still business as usual. We've just kind of had to change and try to adhere to some precautions. So.
Does technology play into that at all in your office much?
A little bit. We've kind of changed some things, especially in the jail. We've never really had the ability to do any video conferencing, and we've been looking at that, and maybe this kind of segues into the new jail project.
Yeah.
But we've been using some technology for video conferencing and that sort of thing, and with the new jail project, that's part of that we'll be able to do with the courts. And,
that's great.
And also video visitation with the inmates, so folks, if they can be at home and have
interesting. I've never even
visitation
thought of that
with their loved one. So, but
this, and you think about the pandemic, first thing we're talking about, then to jail. This is like every area of our society. There's things that are going to be changed forever. It's kind of pushed us into a little bit further than maybe faster pace. Maybe we would have gone on our own.
oh yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's a good example.
But
So I happened to see that the groundbreaking for the jail. We got some things going there.
yeah, first day of April, they started unloading some equipment, broke ground. They've been moving some dirt.
That's a long time coming.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's kicking off and starting. So there will be some progress. It'll be kind of slow going until for probably about the next month or so, of course, depending on weather. You know, in Indiana in the spring. So hope it's not like last year where we had the monsoon season in Indiana. But
that's right. Farmers are hoping that too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's starting, and so we're kind of excited. Yesterday morning, first thing, I got a phone call. Hey, we've got a major leak in the jail again.
Your mind wanders into the future.
This is the fourth one in the last month. So,
oh my gosh!
But so you know, we're still making some repairs, and you know, we're trying to curb that as economically as possible.
When's our target finish date for the new jail?
They're talking possibly July of next year,
Wow.
Substantial completion date.
That's pretty good.
So they originally talked about 15 months from start to finish. So So we probably look at sometime next fall, year from this coming fall, that things should be somewhat wrapped up.
Well, we appreciate you and your department, what you've done with the current jail, making it work this long, and the big effort you put in to make everyone aware of how necessary a new jail really is. And I'm glad this project is going now.
Well, thanks. It's been it's not what I wanted to do, Evan.
I'm sure.
What I wanted to do. And you know, the other thing I know, of course, tax statements rolled out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, the jail project wasn't put on property tax. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, it was not put on
That's
a
a
property
good piece
tax
of
rate.
information to know.
So, anyway.
Well, thank you. We've been joined by Sheriff Chris Sailors here this morning, and got a lot of great information. Thank you so much for your dedication to our county and for the information this morning. Great having you.
Thanks, Evan.
Okay, Paul, let's see what you got. You probably already looked at my sheet. I need to be watching this next week. Just to
No,
make
no,
sure.
I didn't look at Chris.
Earth Day's coming up on Wednesday. What year? 1960, 1970, or 1990 was it founded?
Well, you kind of gave away that it wasn't 90 because you remember celebrating that in school.
Shouldn't have said
And
that. So
I know it's not as old as my dad, who's probably going to kill me for that one, but so it's got to be 70.
It was. Man, the streak continues. That's 6 in a row, I think. Earth Day started in the United States in 1970, but it was a trick question because internationally it started in 1990.
Well, see, you just said what day was it founded.
You're right. We'll give you credit for it. The answer was B. Well, on that note, let's get to our words of wisdom. See if we can educate ourselves a little bit with someone else's thoughts from the past. This is from Henry Ford. If everyone's moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. I think that kind of describes what we're doing here in this county, too. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
thanks a lot, everybody.
Hey, look forward to next week.
All right, Paul.
See ya.
Bye.